Now, it's been 5 years since the COVID pandemic, and all of us are living in a post-COVID world. While the virus has become less daunting over the years with the advent of new medicines, but our lives have changed considerably with increased adoption of digital technologies. From workplaces to schools and colleges, the new normal has been redefined by the pandemic, with our reliance on technology increasing many-fold. Now, to discuss this further, I am joined on the broadcast by Dr. Subhi Chaturvedi, who's a distinguished AI tech and policy expert, and Ravi Saxena, founder and CEO of Wonder Chef. Thank you to both of you for joining me on the show. And I want to begin with a broad question to both of you. We'll start with Subhi first. On what, according to you, has been the biggest impact of technology in the post-COVID world that we are living in now?
Tanima, thank you so much. I think it's a very pertinent discussion, and we're doing this on the back of Sunita Williams' return. It is just such an exciting moment for all of us. I think that's a big, huge plus for technology. Technology in a post-COVID world needs to be understood as a biggest democratizer, as the biggest enabler. It has also been one of the biggest disruptors. So it's switched all of us out of complacency. And I see this from a farmer in Bihar accessing AI crop advice to a student in Meerut looking at MIT courses online. It's helped us break barriers in every which way, form, shape possible. You know, I work with India's first unicorn. I lead global policy. We're now in global MNC across 26 countries. And we made tech happen from India with love. Glance is on 400 million lock screens, and a housewife is looking at recipes. She's starting her cloud kitchen. All of this, when you look at it in the context of Digital India and the Honorable Prime Minister's vision to connect 600,000 villages, 250,000 village panchayats through the BharatNet project, it's helped us look at UPI, where the US now, Congress has been talking, and the basic shift that happened when he spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort is to throw away the slavery mindset, where India is no longer taking or aping from the West, where Digital India and the JAM trinity, Jandhan, Mobile and Aadhaar. So post-COVID, distances shrunk. You knew that, technology can help you connect. So we run about 26 countries, from sometimes over Zoom calls, sometimes over MS Teams. The collaboration has happened. You've been able to break new barriers. You've been able to look at new geographies. But the biggest wins, I'm seeing across democratizing financial inclusion. I'm seeing women who have more access to credit. I'm looking at more founders with more access to capital. I'm looking at more women leaders lead. I'm looking at India revolutionizing healthcare. Our success across COVID with the COVID app and contact tracing, with India's e-Sanjeevani platform, where we crossed 140 million teleconsultations.
Right.
In 2023. We've reached remote villages. Lastly, Tanima, I think we've been able to bridge the education gap to a great extent, where 136 million plus learners are globally experiencing, online courses from some of the best universities, and that's 20% from India. And we've been able to also considerably boost agricultural productivity. So cows are getting milked using AI. Farmers in Orissa are looking at, better crops of wheat and paddy, and 26 new homogeneous varieties of paddy. So I'm very, very excited.
Right. Ravi Saxena, come in on this. Do you see more positives than negatives? What is your impression?
So I think Subhi has covered a very vast gamut of ideas. So I will focus myself to our industry, which is cooking, kitchenware, cookware and appliances, which brings us to that most important domain that is there in all our lives, which is our home. Everyone works very hard. They build their careers, they educate themselves to build a good home. And I think the pandemic has had a seminal effect on the way we live, because people started spending more time at home. They started working out of home. Work from home is still continuing in many companies, in many industries. Hybrid models are there. So I think home became very important. And with home came technology. So not only the Zoom calls and other means of communication, but also the fact that when you're at home, you want to make it more comfortable. You want air conditioners which can be controlled more easily. You want to walk into a room coming from outside, which has already been cooled down. And these are the IoT kind of devices which have come into forth, and their sales are increasing in percentage. Coming to kitchen, I think there has been a revolution because during COVID, people were forced to cook themselves, and they realized that how punishing as well as how rewarding it can be. So a lot of people called us, a lot of our customers called us saying that how can we make it more convenient for them? Men were forced to cook for the first time. They never learned how to cook, but they were forced to cook because they wanted to stand up for their women and they wanted to participate. So we got the opportunity
Right.
post-COVID to introduce a lot of appliances which help you cook, which are automated, which are computer-driven, which are AI supported. One of the examples that I can share to be very specific is our device, which is a kitchen robot. It just guides you. You choose what to cook. It guides you step by step. You just keep putting the ingredients, keep pressing the button, and it does everything: mixing, chopping, steaming, stirring, kneading, everything. And at the end of the hour, or at the end of the time, which may be 20 minutes to 1 hour, you have a
Right.
complete dish ready, which is as good as what Mr. Kapoor might cook, So I think it has brought a great deal of gender equality, which was missing in our kitchens.
Okay.
And as a company, as a brand, we are there to support our customers to be able to cook easily.
Right. We are running out of time on this, but a quick question from both of you, quick answer rather. There is, of course, an increased reliance on tech now, as we have been talking about it, but how do you see this shaping the future even further? What other far-reaching changes do you predict, let's say, over the next 5 years? Both of you, quick comment on this.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Tanima.
Sadiq.
Tanima, I think too, and I'm so happy that, my co-panelists spoke about gender inclusion and diversity. Kudos to you and many congratulations. I wish you more success. Two
Thank you so
more
much.
very critical areas. The Davos meeting happened earlier this year, and they've identified fake news and misinformation and the role of AI as the biggest disruptor. So when you're looking at the future, I'm hugely optimistic because there's never a bigger talent pool than in India currently. So India is poised to be the largest hub for everything: future emerging technology, artificial intelligence. The Indian government has parked 10,400 crores for the India AI mission. The Honorable Minister Vaishnav has talked about purchasing 18,000 GPUs. And we've seen with DeepSeek and R1 and the newer models which are emerging that it is possible to do this in India with
Right.
frugal innovation. So space technology, artificial intelligence, and looking at startups
Right.
driving the revolution from India is what I'm looking at in terms of the future.
Yeah, very
Thank you.
less time left, Mr. Saxena.
Yeah. No, so what I see, to be very precise, is that Indians around the world are discovering their own cuisine, their own pride. And our job is to empower them to be able to cook easily. And the device, for example, that I spoke of, the Chef Magic Kitchen Robot, Indians all over the world are buying it, in US, in Mauritius, in Fiji, wherever the Indian diaspora is there, UK, Australia, Maldives, Middle East, of course, and they are cooking and they're participating in co-cooking. So I see as
Right.
India, as an Indian, that a whole lot of Indians will be cooking because our cuisine is unique and home food is healthy. And that's the revolution I see happening in the next 5 years.
Right, living in a post-COVID world with, of course, a lot of reliance on technology in different forms and formats. Subhi Chaturvedi, Ravi Saxena, thank you so much for joining us on the show.